Yemi Adeniran is a very experienced consultant, 25 years doing high-profile global technology transformation projects. Some of the areas he's worked in includes information security, governance, data security strategy, roadmaps, policies, cybersecurity, privacy. A great deal of experience there. And in addition to his sort of mainstream work, he's also been very good at helping with other people's startups as an advisor and non-executive director. So someone with a great deal of experience in the area of solution design and buy-in. Yemi, over to you.
Right. Thank you very much. So I'm going to kick off with what a solution design means, why is it important, and how do we secure a buy-in having designed a wonderful solution. These are very critical stages and steps, which as a solution architect myself for several years, I've had to go through them. As you know, every successful IT project requires a very good solution design. That design goes through a number of iterations, including peer review, and also to be signed off by the TDA, which is the Technical Design Authority of every organization. So once you've done that, you then have to go and get a buy-in from the business, even though they came up with the requirement to begin with. But always bear in mind that getting a solution design in process is actually a blueprint for you to be able to implement systems and solutions, be it a hardware or software or a combination of both. And that comes with various constraints depending on the organization. So let's break it all down. What do I mean by solution design? Solution design usually have a number of components. You have the constraints which you have to work under, you have the non-functional requirements, you have the functional requirements, you also have to work with vendors, and in some cases you have various contending authorities to actually work with. And you also have to put together and work within a team of technical staffs. You need to have a sponsor of the projects, and you need to come up with a blueprint to be able to push that solution through. So within the ecosystem, you have the solution architects, you have developers if it's a software development project, you have other technical staffs like the firewall guys and other tech support that you need to work with. As I mentioned earlier, you have project sponsors and project managers whom you have to report to on a day-to-day basis. Now, that being said, you then have, bear with me, you then have, I'm a Scrum Master. I come from an agile environment. Having said that, in the IT world, you have the waterfall approach and the agile approach. Depending on the organization that you work for, they have their own ways of working. But usually, in my experience, I've worked with both waterfall approach and agile design approach. So within the agile ecosystems, you have obviously a product manager, you have a team, you have a product owner, you have a number of developers or engineering team that helps to design those solutions. And you have a solution design or technical design, which your solution design goes through and it gets signed off by a TDA. Within that TDA, you have to present what is it that your solution is all about, how you came up, and there will be like a Q&A. It usually takes half an hour to an hour, depending on the organization and how many solutions they have to approve on the date. So you have that blueprint, which informs your impact assessment as a solution architect, and you also have other contending factors and constraints within which to work with. Those are very key when you're doing your design within an agile environment. As soon as the George mentioned earlier, within the agile environment, the idea is to fail fast. You don't have to wait till the end, where you then find out that, look, this solution is actually not working, which is what happened in most waterfall approach. But with the software development lifecycle, the agile methodology is highly preferred. So if you join an organization and they're using agile, it's very important to actually undergo the agile training to understand the nuances, to understand the jargons that we use within the agile ecosystems. So if you roll that out with a waterfall approach where you have, again, you have various stakeholders, and then you as a solution architect or solution designer, you come up with your high-level design. Within that level design, you showcase what it is that you're trying to do. That informs the low-level design, which is what the business will look at and be signed off as well before it goes into implementation. So within the waterfall design ecosystems, again, you have your solution architect, you have your developers, you have other technical staffs, then you have various business stakeholders. And then, of course, you have a project manager, you have a project sponsor, and you have all these artifacts in which you need to work with. So that being the case, the difference between a waterfall and an agile design environment, they're quite unique. The waterfall waits till the end to see whether or not it works. The agile environment, you know, you have your daily stand-ups where you talk about what you've been doing, what you've done, what it is that you'll be doing that day, what are the impediments you have, and escalations could happen within those stand-up meetings. Our stand-up meeting usually lasts half an hour. It's a daily stand-up meeting, and then of course you have to be on point. There's no room for emotions. You have to quickly go through what is it that you're doing that day, and if there are any impediments from what you've done. So it's very important to actually see the differences between the two. Now, when we talk about solution design, we have various types of solution design. As I mentioned earlier, you have your high-level solution design, which is a document that I will go through in a minute. And then you have your low-level solution design, which breaks down all the high-level stuff you've been talking about. Each of those documents serves for different purposes, and they actually occur at a different stage of software development lifecycle. Again, is what bear in mind that a solution design goes through different stages. You have your analysis stage, which is the first of the stages. In that stage, you look at the project setup, you gather your requirement, you gather your scope, you get your scope sign off, and then you then move into your design phase. During your design phase, this is where solution design is created and documented and signed off. Whatever it is that you put together as a solution design have to be peer reviewed, have to be signed off by the technical design authority. It needs to make sure that it buys into the organization culture and the way they do things, and also various constraints like integration, which I will talk about. They are very, very important. So the design stage creates your high-level design solution, which is a review of what exactly you're going to be, you're going to be implementing, and that goes through various iterations. It goes through various peer review, various sign-off, and usually it comes with a statement of work. Now, during the design phase, it's always very important to know what is it that is expected of you as a solution architect or as a solution designer. Before you start moving into development and testing and all that, the solution will have been signed off, as I mentioned earlier. And then the developers have to understand what is it that your solution is trying to implement. So the low-level design solution or the low-level design document usually goes through a number of iterations as well. Developers must understand the key tasks involved. The testers will have to generate the test cases based on the requirements and features described in the low-level design documents. Also, your customers or your end users will need to validate the end result based on the details you provided in your low-level design document. So it's quite important to be able to see how you move from high-level design documents, what are the benefits, what are the constraints, and how you move that, having had a sign-off, into a low-level design document, which then undergoes further development. Now, for a development phase of the life cycle, SDLC life cycle, you need to make sure that all your design is being translated into instructions for developers to commence coding. If it's a software development, if it's a hardware implementation, again, your low-level design will talk about things like the firewall ports that need to be opened, the type of protocol that needs to go through that, and so on and so forth. The intrusion detection systems that have to be in place. What are the rules and policies that govern those? So governance is quite key at this stage. You need to make sure that the testing phase is followed real quick, and any vulnerabilities or flaws that are picked up by the testers are quickly addressed as part of your regression testing. Now, when we talk about solution design document, what exactly are the elements? What are the things that, what should be in your solution design document? These are just samples. This is not a complete, bullet points. You need to describe, you need to have an overview of what you're trying to achieve. You need to go through your functional descriptions and non-functional descriptions of the system you're designing or your solution that you're designing. You need to have what we call the design considerations. What are the constraints? What are the assumptions? What are your dependencies? What are your requirements and objectives? What methodology are you going to use to achieve the objectives? What are the user stories? Within the agile environment, when we kick off, we usually kick off with user stories, meaning as a user, I want a system that will deliver X, Y, Z. As a user, I want a system that will compute X, Y, Z and give me this. So from that user story, which is what you get from the business, you then develop a solution that will take into considerations all those user stories that you've gathered as part of your requirements. In the waterfall, we call it requirements, but within the agile, we call it user stories. So those user stories will form what we call your systems architecture. And that architecture will feed into your user interface design. It will feed into your testing. Obviously, you must do your risk evaluation. You don't want to implement a new systems that will bring in all sort of bad guys to be able to breach your entire systems or your entire network. You need to have a glossary to explain all the technical jargons. Not everybody will understand what a firewall is. Not everybody will understand what a policy is. So your glossaries will be where people can go and look at what, a definition of all the technical words or jargons you used. Obviously, within your document, you must always show your milestones. So there should be a breakdown. It may be at high level, but you should always show a breakdown of your milestones. And those milestones will give the business like a hope as to when you're going to develop the iterations. So within the agile, we develop in small chunks. We don't develop everything in one huge, massive product or solution that at the end might not fit what the organization wants, or at the end of it, the market condition may well have changed. So these are the benefits of agile, but I won't talk too much about agile because this is purely about solution design. So bear in mind, when you're putting your solution design documentation together, these are some of the key points, key headlines that anyone that will peer review it, the TDA that will sign it off, they will be looking at all these steps, all these bullet points to make sure that your solution design documentation covers all this and many more. Now, moving on swiftly to how do I get a buy-in for my solution? You've designed a wonderful systems. You've put a solution design documentation together. How do I go and get a buy-in? So you need to show business value and ROI. Nothing kills a solution that you've designed than just showing that this is a good design. A company and the business looks for something that will clearly add value. So your solution design must always add value and return on investment. How do we get an ROI on this solution that you have put together? How do we make sure that this creates or this brings value? So there should be an evidence of business value and return on investment. Fancy design that has no value will not get funding. That's the takeaway from this slide. Make sure that your design, your solution design, in order to get a buy-in, clearly shows business value and return on investment. You must socialize your solution with key stakeholders. Nothing kills a wonderful design than you keeping it to yourself. You need to go out and about as a solution designer or solution architect to socialize your solution. I usually do what we call a lunch and learn. Lunch and learn is where during the lunch time, I usually plan in between 12 and 1. I will invite everybody, all the key stakeholders, everybody to a room. I will get pizza. I'll provide pizza for them. I will then walk everybody through my solution design document. I will ask them for feedback. I will want critique, because what that does is you getting a feedback from everyone that will end up signing off your solution, so that when they see your solution later on, a few weeks further down the line, you've already socialized that with them. They know what to expect. You've already addressed their fears. You've already addressed their worries. You've already addressed the risks that they brought, and anything with integration with other systems. You've already addressed all these key points, which are very valid to them, because all your stakeholders will be a blocker to signing off your solution if you have not taken into consideration their own feelings. Some are very emotive. You have folks with very high egos. Within every organization, you have folks that are very emotive. You have folks that have very high egos. They will kill off your design if you don't get them on board. They will not sign it off. They will rubbish it when you present it to them at the TDA. So make sure that you go and socialize it up front before it goes to Technical Design Authority for a sign-off. So doing a lunch and learn, regularly socializing your solutions to them, getting their feedback, addressing their feedback in your revision, making sure that you avoid all these design speak, which eventually will not really lead to anything. So make sure that you clearly socialize your solution with all the stakeholders. Now, in order to get a buy-in, always seek out champions. Make sure you have someone within the organization that is ready to champion the cause, that is ready to say, you know what, that solution design addresses the key risks that we have, addresses the pain points that we have. Your solution should address pain points that the organization is facing. If it doesn't, it will not get signed off. No point designing a white elephant solution that's only good for you and doesn't add value. So make sure you seek out champions. Get your champions on board. Make sure you speak to them well in advance. Make sure you have a one-to-one with them regularly, daily. I usually do a daily thing with all the champions. I'll go and see them. Pinging, sending email through from your email to another person is okay, but nothing really beats a face-to-face. I call it a face-off with folks within the organization. Now that we're in lockdown, we've not been able to do that, but I still do a daily face-off on the Zoom with all the champions that I have within the organizations. And also make sure you keep others involved. Resist the urge to go off on a design island. What do I mean by that? Don't say, look, I'm a good solution designer. I've designed this wonderful solution before. I know what I'm doing. Let me just go ahead and do it. No, do not just go ahead and do it. Get input. Learn to work with others. Keep others involved. Carry them along. There are folks within the organization, like I said, that have egos. You need to massage those egos in order to get your design, to get a buy-in to your design. Massage egos, communicate regularly, hold what I call a lunch and learn, hold those meetings regularly. I travel wide. I go to Italy to do a roadshow to my colleagues in Italy, because if I don't go to Italy, they need to sign off my design. I could sit down here in the UK and say, you know what, I've done a wonderful task. I've done a wonderful design with the folks in the UK. I don't need to go to Italy. Look, I get on the flight, I go to Italy, I do a roadshow, a 4 days roadshow in Italy. I invite all the stakeholders. Not all of them will come, but don't be discouraged. They will always send somebody to come. And if they don't come, believe you me, they will get a feedback on how you're doing. They will always get a feedback. So make sure that for your buying, you do all these things. You make sure you do your roadshow, do your lunch and learn. Do not see folks in Italy as, you know what, they're not in the UK, or, I don't have to go to Italy. Speak to your line manager that, look, I need to go to Italy, or I need to go to wherever to go and do a lunch and learn, to socialize my design, to get everybody to buy into my design. Without that, your design will not go anywhere. I've actually been very successful at getting my design sign off because I go out of my way. I'll go and have lunch with you. If you won't come to my lunch and learn or my roadshow, I will say, look, Fred, when are you going for lunch? I'm going to lunch at 1. I will join you for lunch. I will socialize my design with you while we're having lunch. I'll talk about it. I'll try and get your buy-in. Because if you do all that, you will always overcome all the blockers, all the obstacles, all the impediments within the organization. So please bear those in mind and make sure that you communicate regularly. Yeah, communication. People don't like surprises. Carry everybody along. Communicate early and regularly. Take your solution design to them. Don't just put it on the Confluence page or SharePoint and ping them an email and say, please review and let me have your feedback. They wouldn't review. Not all of them will review. They'll be waiting for you so that they can kill off your design. So make sure you communicate early. Make sure you go and see them in person. Massage egos. Carry everybody along. Make sure that these folks that are there, they're there for a reason. And make sure you're transparent with them. Make sure that all your stakeholders are aware of any change freeze or any upcoming releases, anything that could really put a blocker or impediment to your design. And to stop them buying into your design, make sure you communicate early to all of them. Also, think about integration. When you go and seek folks about your new and wonderful design, think about how you're going to integrate your current design with the existing platforms. Nothing beats, nothing kills off a new design or solution design with you not thinking about how do I integrate with the existing system. So ease of integration is key. Make sure that whatever it is you have could integrate seamlessly with existing platforms, because you don't want to disrupt live production. You don't want a situation where you suddenly go live and then things stop working. Nothing kills that off. I've seen this happen in many organizations where they've done a lot of testing, but what they forgot was one of the key integration points. They have a very old systems that no one thought about, and suddenly you bring in your new solution, suddenly everything goes pear-shaped. So make sure that you show the ease of integration with existing platforms. Make sure that you carry everybody along. Know your numbers. Make sure you have a hard data to show the cost of your new systems. Make sure you showcase the value and the ROI of what you're bringing on board. These are very, very important to get a buy-in to your systems. Now, Every organization I've worked for, and there have been a lot, they always have a competing priorities. Make sure that you know what your competing priorities are. Make sure you get a buy-in from the management. Don't just try and push from bottom up, also from top down. So you work both ways. As a good solution designer, wanting a buy-in to your solution, you need to work both ways. Go and see the directors. Go and see them one-to-one. Don't just ping them an email and say, oh, Gary, please, can you have a look at this? What do you think? I love email, but nothing beats human interaction, physical interaction. Nothing beats that, because when you highball someone, you'll be able to feel the vibes. You'll be able to feel their emotions. You'll be able to know what their pain points are. They might be blocking your solution because there's something else they're working on that will be a competing priorities with your new solution. So get a buy-in from the top of your organization and show what's possible to the folks at the bottom up. Don't see the guys on the help desk as a nuisance. Make sure you go and see them, socialize your design with them, talk to them, so that when they see your design coming through, they will say, oh, yes, Yemi has been to talk to me about this. I know about this already. Give them the heads up, massage their egos, go to lunch with them, talk to them, get to know the competing priorities is very, very key here, because every organization have competing priorities. Every business unit have other things they're working on that you may not be aware in your average hour. So don't have that mindset that, you know what, I've got this wonderful solution that will address A, B, C, and D pain points. Therefore, we must roll it out. No, they wouldn't roll it out because they have other priorities within their own ecosystem. So in summary, I think I've been talking for a while. In summary, these are what I'll do to recap. To get a buy-in, make sure you have a clear design that's easy for everyone to understand. Be prepared for questions like, what's the point? Why do you do it this way? Do we really need this? We don't need this. This doesn't address our pain point. Be prepared for all these questions, not just the what, but the how. So remember that it's very, very important that you put together a very good business value of your design. That should be your elevator pitch. Make sure you have that in your mind already. Write it down if you're going to forget. Again, you need a product owner. Within the Agile manifesto, you always have a product owner. That product owner is the person that actually owns that product. He or she will go and socialize it. You need to work with them because they are the one that will focus everybody's mind to your design goals and design objectives. Ensure your milestones are aligned with the priorities of the organization. Don't just design something for the sake of it. Make sure that what you design are aligned with the competing priorities of the organization, and they align with the business objectives. They align with the current situation. And please try not to boil the ocean. Try and roll out incrementally. Within the Agile ecosystem, we roll out things incrementally. We don't try and roll out everything at the end and making sure, because that will really kill off your design. And focus on releasing one component at a time and measure the impact and efficiencies and effectiveness and quality. So this is very important. So in conclusion, your design must show business value, no doubt. Make sure you show business value. No one will sign up your design. No one will buy into your design if it doesn't show business value. Make sure you spend as much time as possible socializing, educating, evangelizing your design. Go out of your way. Have a roadshow, have lunch and learn, socialize it to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Don't think, you know what, they don't need to know. Everybody needs to know. Focus on people over processes. People and processes are very key, but encourage buying by driving value. Make sure you're driving the value of your design. A solution design that does not drive value to an organization will be blocked. It will not be signed off. Don't try and enforce rules. Lead with a carrot, not a stick. So make sure that all these points when it comes to designing your solution design and the buying, make sure you remember them. Encourage usage and adoption of the system by making business processes easier, not mandating the rules. No one will change the rules for your design. Make sure your design fits in. It shows the business value. It shows the return on investment. Socialize it, educate, evangelize, get everyone to buy into it. There are always egos. You need to massage those egos. Be very, very good at stakeholder management. Thank you very much. That's me done.
Okay, thank you, Yemi.